Very creative. We have queen takes. And I'm just kind of flowing through and getting to like the more critical positions here. We have castles. Morphy develops a piece as normal. That's a weird move. It doesn't really do anything. I just castle and you have nothing. I guess your idea was you thought you were attacking that pawn twice, but after I castle, I'm defending it twice. And it's always a bad idea to take here and give up 2 minor pieces for just a rook and a pawn. You normally don't do that, especially early. So we have castles. Now we have bishop d3. Opponent's trying to take this pawn. Morphy gets in the way, interference. We have a trade on f5 of bishops. Bishop a3, skewering. Now, I would think Morphy had to see this coming. So starting from here, Morphy's already probably saying, okay, he could play this, they call it a skewer, and I'm just going to drop here, right? And if he takes, which he did, I take his knight, and I'm just way better. I mean, now you have to waste a move saving this bishop, and I sort of have an attack. My pieces are developed. I'm good to go. So now we have the bishop saves itself, right? Or else I was going to take it. And we have Morphy takes this pawn. That move I'm surprised by. I guess the idea is Morphy wanted to open up this file for his rook with his queen backward defending, right? So by taking here, he allowed that file to open up. And now his opponent, learning from the previous game, realized he was playing Paul Morphy and said, oh, that's right, no one beats this guy. I'm going to just start setting up for next game. Plays bishop c1. Yeah, it's normally not a good idea to put your pieces back where they start. Normally a little suspicious, right? So we have bishop c1. And Morphy simply, you know, you're attacking my queen. That was your big idea, right? I just bring the queen back, and I'm chilling. Morphy has better development. Morphy didn't spot a piece this game, and when he didn't spot a piece, you were really in trouble, right? So now we have bishop f4. And Morphy develops his final piece. So what's funny is before I said you have rook d8 because your queen's backward defending. Your knight's also backward defending. You still have it, even though the queen moved off of g5 there. So we attack the queen. Queen goes to c2. Okay. He's saying, hey, you can't move your knight or I'll trade queens off, and I don't want you to have your queen because I'm up a little material, barely, or Morphy might be up, but normally you want to trade queens when your opponent has better development because he can't attack as easily. So that's the idea with that. The knight jumps to d4. Morphy's already starting an attack, right? Queen jumps to e4. This game, man. This game is crazy. So now, Vince, Birdie, anyone who wants to guess, what would you play here if you're Morphy? Oh my god, this fucking move, bro. It's unbelievable just looking at it again. I don't think you can find this. If I gave you, you could type in 3 moves. I don't think it would be one of the 3. And you only have so many legal moves. I bet if I gave you 3 guesses between anyone here who wants to guess, but I know Vince is a decent chess player. He normally can find tactics. And Birdie's learning and seems to be pretty good at guessing whenever I ask people to guess. If Vince and Birdie both take 3 shots, even if both of your guesses are different, I bet you don't find it. And it's the best move. Morphy finds it no problem. Wow. I don't know how a human finds that. It just doesn't look right. Like the move just doesn't look like the right move. I guess after you see it, it's obvious, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. I'm going to drop music on for like a full minute. Let you guys think if you could find this move. It's tough. Yeah, this is the song, bro. They had my music back then. They had my music. Okay. Time for the big answer. So, Birdie, you recommended G8 to F6, which is an illegal move. That's a king, not a knight. But I think you obviously made a mistake. Then you recommended E4 to E5, which is a move with white. Then you recommended C3 to C2, which is a legal move for black. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with what you're looking at. I think you had too much to drink because you recommended an illegal move. Then you recommended a move for white. Then you recommended a move for black. And we're looking for the move for black here. White just played Queen E4. And I'm not sure if Vince is still here because he didn't take a guess yet. Yeah, there's no way Vince is in chat. He definitely would have taken at least a guess. He probably wouldn't have found it anyway. So the move here, unless you still want to guess, Birdie. That makes so much sense, bro. So your one recommendation is C3 to C2. Yo, that's a decent move. In fact, I'm looking at the computer lines, but I have them hidden. That's the second best move. That's a good move. The queen can't take it, right? You're defending it. You're threatening to take the knight. And you're threatening to maybe queen if this rook and bishop weren't guarding, right? But advancing the pawn, that's a pretty good idea. Only problem is there's a better move. So the move that I don't think, I mean, I don't want to say no human would find, because a human did find it. But you have to be a really strong player or think for a real long time, because it just does not look like it does anything. Knight to g3. Now, white could resign. That's how good that move is, but he didn't. And here's why. Notice how I moved out of the way of my queen. So now the queens are looking at each other. Which means if you don't do anything about it, I'm going to take your queen. Right? Actually, I'm going to take your queen with my knight if I want. Even if you, like, defend it, I just take with the knight. I want your queen, bro. You could take with the rook, I'll take with the queen. But, your queen's hanging. What do you play here with white? So now throw a move at me here. I mean, you got to save your queen, right? Oh, you could trade queens too, right? Why don't you just trade queens first? Right? Doesn't that make sense? Look, trade queens and then take my knight. Helping your rook get active. Take with either pawn you want. Even take with the bishop, right? Trading queens. You trade queens for sure. Diffuse the attack. He did. He's like, let's go. Show me what you got. I'm taking your queen off the board. Right? Well, what do you got here? Which pawn do you take with? You tell me which pawn you take with. I'm not sure how much it matters. Morphy played the best move here. But which pawn would you take the queen back with? I'll let you pick one. Which pawn recaptures the queen? The h7 pawn. Nope. I tricked you, bro. How about this move? That's check, right? Where does the king go? Oh, first of all, what takes that? Can we take that? No. Where does the king move to? That's lights out, bro. Pack it up. Pack it up. That's lights out. That's checkmate, bro. That's game. I'm not taking the queen back, bro. I have checkmate. I'm Paul Morphy. Mate. I've never seen a mate like that before. I've never seen a mate like that. I've never done a mate like that. I've never seen a mate like that in any other game I've ever seen in my life. I've played like 15,000 games of chess. Have never constructed that. What is that? This knight's hanging to a million pieces. Your queen's still on the board. Look at this. The double knight mate. Look at that. That geometry. So back to here. Morphy plays this, setting up that mate. He's like, yo, your queen's hanging, bro. And if you want to trade queens, I'm going to mate you. But obviously the guy didn't see the mate, right? But I mean, so your best move is actually to just take this knight and then let Morphy take your queen. But I mean, you could just resign at that point. You're going to let Morphy take your queen. And I still have this pawn that you said I could push. And everything else is equal. Except I just have a queen and you have a rook. Oh, and by the way, I'm up, how many pawns? Several. 3. And this one's about a queen. This is resignable here. Everyone knows that. But here, You can't do anything. You can't do anything. You either give me your queen or get checkmated. And he thought he was trading queens. Nope. Paul Morphy. Just amazing, man. The shit he pulled off. Just amazing. So, alright, I'm going to jump to puzzles now. I'm going to put the music back on. And I'm just going to vibe out and try to break my high score. What do I have coming up here on my playlist? Throw Andromeda back. I want to play like my favorite songs out of the songs that I've created. So, let's go to puzzles. First, I'll do a round of Vision, see if I can break that high score tonight. Let's go. Need some speed, yo. I felt like I was flying, and that was only 38. That's crazy, bro. I thought that was like 42. I didn't look, but I was like, I gotta be at 42. I didn't even miss one. And now I'm clicking wrong squares. That was crazy. I think there's only 38. The high score is so bad. 38 again, huh? Slower than I think. A lot of misses. Wow, 3 misses was my 42. Unreal. I got 40 with a min. I'll talk about my money situation. So as far as money, so here's what happened, right? I told you I got into chess in college, and the first tournament I played in, everyone thought I was either cheating or sandbagging or something weird. So sandbagging is when you intentionally lower your rating to go then beat people. What happened was when I first got into chess, well, when I first got into playing live tournaments, I was 20 years old, and I hadn't played in any live tournaments before. I just played casually, right? But I beat everyone in my family, so I didn't have a rating. And when you don't have a rating, on like the list of players in the tournament next to your name, it just says UNR for unrated, and everyone else has a rating. So I played in a tournament where a lot of the players were like 1900 strength, 2000 strength, 2100 strength, like top 1% players here, like close to master, not grandmaster, but close to 2200 is when you're deemed a master. So there were some strong players that have been playing for years, right, in actual tournaments. So this is my first tournament of my life. Joined the tournament, and I could show those games one night. It was a 6-game tournament. I could show every game. I have all the games in my database. But 6-game tournament. You play one game. Takes 2 hours. You play one game a week. So it was during the summer of 2015. You play a game June 2nd, then you play a game June 9th, then you play a game June 16th, and so on for 6 weeks. First place of that tournament, it was small. It was only like $20 a person. First place paid like $300. And I didn't expect to win at all. You know, I just joined it and I was like, I'll get some experience playing some live games. So the first game, I'm playing against a 1780 rated player and I win. And I'm pretty confident. I'm like, wow, I just beat a 1780. I didn't know what my rating was. You know, I didn't have a rating yet. I'm unrated. I don't have any games against people with ratings to get an idea of what mine is or for them to give me one. First, you have to play against people that have ratings, and then it gives you a rating, which is like the average of how you performed against the people that had ratings that you actually played. So, for example, if you beat a 1200 and then you lose to an 1800 and then you draw a 1500, it's like, okay, you're about a 1500. You beat the 12. There's a formula, obviously. They don't just sit back and say this is what you are. They plug it into a formula and it gives you your rating, which would be, in that case, 1500. Anyway, I beat a 1760 or 1780. I go home. I'm like, okay, that was cool. You know, I go to sleep. Next week, I show up and I play an 1850 rated player. Beat him. Okay. 2 wins in a row. Now I'm, you know, but there was like 4 other players that also had 2 wins, so we're all in first place right now. Next week, I play another guy who's 2-0, right? He's rated like 19 and change. Beat him. Okay. Now I'm 3-0. Now one other player is 3-0. Me and him play the next week. Beat him. He was like 2020 rated. Right? Beat him. 4-0. Now the next week, no one's 4-0 except me. So I play someone who's 3-1. Or maybe I played someone who had 3 wins and a draw, so we had 3.5, you'd say. And I draw him. He was like 2080 or something. Drew him. Now I have 4.5 out of 5. Now, in the last week, the only other player close to me also had 4. So that guy I played previously must have had 3. Now he had 3.5. So in the last round, I had 4.5 out of 5, and my opponent had 4 out of 5. So if he beats me, he gets 5 out of 6, and I'm still stuck at 4.5 out of 6, and he wins the tournament. In that last round, he was rated like 2100, and I drew him. And I ended with 5 out of 6, and he had 4.5 out of 6. And I won the tournament. I won $300. Took the money home. And it was, I was in shock. I was like, these guys, you know, I showed up there. I'm so intimidated. All these guys are talking to each other about chess. Just the way they talked about it was kind of intimidating. They're like, oh, bro, I was playing this game last week. I had a knight on f5. This guy had a bishop on g8. I played king. And like the way they're talking about games in their minds, back then, now I could do that. But back then, to me, that was so extraordinary. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get fucking crushed. I'm going to go 0-6 and just go home with my game sheets and just be like, okay, you know, I tried my best. But I win the tournament. And these guys are like, yo, who is this kid? He's unrated. And he just went, you know, 5 out of 6 in his first tournament of his life. Because you could also look up